Hey, soul survivors, this is going to be one of the most powerful videos that I have made to date. So please enjoy it. So I had seen an expert who had stated that the single most predictor of divorce is using logic in conversation. So the narcissist, I did videos on the narcissist in reverse. They're complete opposites. The way they think is so different. The narcissist needs to have things brought to them logically. That's their comfort zone. We, over time, start getting hurt by the narcissist and we get emotional. So we want to talk about it and we want some empathy. And we think if I explain it, or we try to validate their feelings and express ours, where is that valence? But they rely on logic, and that takes away the empathy, and the empathy is what causes connection. So the more they get uncomfortable, the more they don't want to talk about it. They need that logic to respond. So let's get into it. Logic can be crucial in problem solving and decision making, but it can be detrimental when overused or misapplied in a relationship context. So we have to think this is going to deal with what is uncomfortable for the narcissist and the way we need empathy. So it causes an emotional disconnection. If you use logic, and remember the narcissist needs logic, but if you use logic in a healthy relationship, somebody who has empathy, logic will emphasize rationality and objective thinking. And this can lead to emotional disconnect between the partners. But that's what the narcissist needs. They need that disconnect to feel comfortable. It doesn't make sense, but this is how their thoughts are. So when one partner solely relies on logic, they may struggle to empathize with their partner's emotions or understand the underlying emotional needs behind their concerns. So this can make the other person feel invalidated, unheard, or dismissed. And that's where we start getting uncomfortable because our comfort is empathizing with each other. So logic, when it takes precedence over emotions, it can inadvertently invalidate the feelings and experiences of the other person by responding to emotional expressions with logical explanations or dismissing them as irrational. Now, remember that the narcissist thinks we're irrational. And how many times have we heard that? The partner seeking emotional support may feel belittled or disregarded, and this can create a barrier to open and honest communication. There's no honest communication, or very little, with the narcissist. And as the emotional partner may be hesitant to express their feelings for fear of being met with a logical response, because it shuts down the communication. If you're saying, I'm really nervous, I don't know what I'm going to do, and they're like, just do it. And you're like, I was kind of hoping you'd talk about me being nervous and give me some support. So they'll just give you the logic. That's why they think we're overreacting to things a lot of times too. And it also causes a power imbalance. The narcissist needs to be in charge. Over reliance on logic can create a power imbalance within the relationship. So the partner who is more skilled or comfortable with logical reasoning, which is the narcissist, may dominate conversations. That's why they like to talk. They like to talk over us. And also the decision-making process. They want to be the one to make the decisions. And that's why a lot of times that they don't compromise, leaving the other person feeling marginalized, where they're not enough. So this power dynamic can stifle open dialogue and prevent the equal sharing of thoughts, concerns, and ideas. It causes communication breakdown. When one partner primarily relies on logic, they may prioritize presenting their viewpoint or finding solutions over actively listening to their partner. And this can lead to miscommunication, misunderstandings, as the emotional nuances and subtext of conversations may be overlooked. Effective communication requires active listening, empathy, validation, and this can be hindered when logic is the sole focus. And that's why there's not the connection. That's why there's a breakdown. And relationships thrive on emotional connection and support, while logical problem solving has its place. Not all issues can be resolved by logical reasoning alone. Some problems require emotional understanding, compromise, and validation. By solely applying a logical approach, important emotional solutions may be overlooked, leading to unresolved conflicts and unmet needs. That's why it's really important to know your partner, because if you're talking with a narcissist, you have to talk to them different for it to maintain the relationship. And they still need that rejection because they have a fear of abandonment. And so to maintain communication within a relationship, there needs to be a balance, but it can also cause defensiveness and argumentation. When logic becomes a dominant communication style, it can lead to a defensive and argumentative environment. Partners may focus proving their points, winning arguments, or being right. The narcissist always has to win arguments. No matter what you say, they will try to win. That's why they don't also want to take accountability for lies. They have to be right. And so trying to always be right rather than fostering understanding and compromise. That's why they don't compromise. That's why there isn't that understanding. So no matter how much you explain it, it's coming from emotions. And that's why when you're more healed, the less emotional things can be. There's got to be a balance where it's healthier, where it's not over needy or loss of words. But relationships often involve complex emotions, histories, and dynamics. Using logic alone can oversimplify these intricate matters, and it reduces them to mere calculations or linear cause and effect reasoning. So simplification can undermine the depth and complexity of the relationship's challenges, making it difficult to address underlying issues adequately. And logic is based on facts, evidence, and rationality, while relationships involve intuition, subjectivity, personal experiences. So when one partner is consistently relying on this logic, it undermines their partner's intuition or subjective understanding, and it causes us to be confused and unable to focus, or it causes us to be like derailed. And it also has an impact on emotional intimacy, loss of creativity. And so what are some examples? Dismissing emotions. So partner A, I'm feeling really overwhelmed with work lately. I've been stressed and anxious. So the person using logic, well, if you just manage your time better and organize your tasks efficiently, you wouldn't be so overwhelmed. You need to be more rational and prioritize your responsibilities. And that's true. That's true. But it doesn't help with, you just became vulnerable. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. And they're just like, duh. And that hurts. We're supposed to be our support. We're supposed to be their support. So, the invalidating feeling. So if you were to say, I'm upset because you forgot our anniversary, it made me feel unimportant and unappreciated. So the partner using logic, it was an honest mistake. Anniversaries are just dates, and it doesn't mean I don't care about you. You're overreacting. So logically, technically, it is just a date, but it's a date that's has an emotional connection to you. And they're just dismissing it and telling you you're overreacting. So it invalidates a person's feelings. And, defensiveness, argumentation. If you were to say, I'm feeling hurt because you didn't include me in the decision-making process for our vacation plans or buying a house. And the partner using logic would say, I've researched and planned everything meticulously to ensure that we have the best experience. You're just being irrational and nitpicking. And it hurts because you're saying I felt left out, and they're saying I handled it, which doesn't deal with your feelings. And they see it as we've addressed it. We have addressed the problem, but you didn't, because the problem wasn't the problem. The problem was the emotions that were going on, and a loss of connection. So oversimplification of complex issues. I'm struggling with my self-esteem lately. I've been feeling insecure and doubting myself. Partner B using logic. Just think positively. Focus on your strengths. It's all in your mind. There's no reason to feel that way. So by that statement, they think they just told you, you don't need to think that way. Just change your thought process. And because the narcissists, they shut things off real quick. And, they don't, they just have a different way of doing it. So we have to remember that how logic can shut down communication and relationships. It can neglect the emotional solutions. I'm feeling neglected, lonely. Can you spend more quality time together with me? So the partner would say, I understand your desire for quality time, but it's more practical for me to focus on work right now. We need the money and stability. So it is logical, it's practical, but it doesn't deal with emotional needs. And when we become so starved for our needs being met, and it just impacts us in such a hurtful way, and a lack of emotional validation. I'm hurt when you spoke to me earlier. Your words were harsh and disrespectful. And they could say, I was just being honest and straightforward. There's no need to be so sensitive. You're overreacting. These are constant things that we hear in the narcissist verbiage. And when is it better to use logic? Problem solving sometimes when you're discussing financial decisions, instead of being emotionally wrapped up in your house, can we afford it? Logically, we can't, and we have to set it that way. Logic, when you're organizing tasks, setting goals, creating efficient plans, when managing schedules, dividing household responsibility, coordinating events, logical thinking can actually help in creating structure and ensuring tasks are completed effectively and efficiently. And logic can be helpful in clarifying misunderstandings or resolving conflicts by providing rational explanations and objective observations. It can assist in uncovering the root cause of an issue, identifying patterns, promoting clear communication when emotions are running a little too high. And, it gets frustrating because there's a lot of times we can't even bring it up to them. They also think in reverse. So if you're saying, hey, I'm not mad at you. I understand you were stressed, but can we talk about it? I didn't like that. So they will hear it as, I am mad at you. Even though you are trying to tell them, no, I'm not mad. I got over it, but in the future, let's not do that. They also like to break any promises that they've made to us. So decision-making, logic can be helpful when it's rational, weighing the pros and cons, considering long-term implications, planning for the future. It's essential in considering the future, making plans for personal and relationship growth. So it helps the partners evaluate their compatibility. But I just thought it was so powerful that they said that logic is the single most predictor of divorce, that it's emotionless, it's transactional. And when we start having needs, the narcissist is like, this is dumb. We have issues, and we're like, let's work on the issues. And they don't want to put the effort in. So tell me your thoughts on that. It makes sense, but if you're trying to communicate with a narcissist, they need logic. They need logic. And it's a one-sided emotional relationship. And that's why you feel so disconnected. Tell me your thoughts. Please like and subscribe. Share this if it would help somebody. We'll get through this, guys.